What is up, guys? It's your girl V, and in this video, we're going to talk about some questions that arise in your head whenever you are confronted with a situation to speak to a native speaker in English. Just for a disclaimer, this video is not for educational purposes. I'm just sharing my thoughts and experiences. I'm not an expert here. I'm also a student that also feel the same fear, same insecurities as you guys when it comes to speak English, because I overthink a lot. What if I start a conversation with the native speaker and I suddenly forget words? What if I just can't support conversation? Like, I won't be able to use my English and ends up embarrassing myself. And what should I do about it? So first of all, we got to acknowledge our fear or insecurities first, right? So for me, I get very nervous easily. And as I told you before, I overthink a lot. A lot. I also not very confident or self-conscious about my English, especially my grammar and how I use my vocabularies. I tend to use the same words over and over again because I just can't think of any other words. Instead of captivating, I use really interesting, very interesting. Instead of essential, I use so important, so necessary, right? Not creative, I know. Even as I'm speaking right now, I'm still not sure if I'm grammatically correct or if I'm using my vocabulary correctly. I keep on making mistakes and get more nervous, and I start to stutter when I'm nervous, especially when I talk to a real person, not to myself. But then I realize I speak better when I'm relaxed, when I'm feeling relaxed in such a relaxed environment, relaxed surroundings, when I talk to my friends, to my family, and when I talk to myself, basically most of the times. Another realization is that even though I have those fears and insecurities, I understood that English is a tool, it's an instrument that I use to improve my life. And without it, I won't be able to achieve my new goals, I'm studying, right now I'm studying informatics engineering, and English is essential in that field. To develop a program, a software, you got to know your English. So in conclusion, I won't be able to get to new levels of whatever my future brings me without English. So today, I'm going to start with what do people fear when speaking English? Which is, people are going to laugh at me. I never been laughed at in terms of my English. Maybe it's just because I don't really speak English on a daily basis. But to myself, yeah, but not to other people. Because here in Indonesia, not so many friends want to actually have a conversation in English. So, I've met 3-4 friends so far that actually want that, but others just feel so pressured, and they say that they're not confident enough with their English. Every time I ask them if I can talk to them in English, right? Hold on. Maybe they also fear that people are gonna laugh at them. I'm gonna laugh at them if they make mistakes. When actually that's not true. I won't laugh at them. It's not a great way to educate people, because it'll lower their self-esteem, their self-confidence even more. I will definitely give them feedbacks. I will give them correction when they need it. But no, I won't laugh at them, and vice versa, based on my experience. Sometimes it's actually good to have the feedback because people tell me, "Oh, V, that was wrong. That phrase wasn't correct." But they're not laughing at me. They're just telling me how to improve, and I accept that with gratitude, right? There are people out there who just hate and get irritated when they hear other people speak English on a daily basis. They're like, mostly Indonesian, well, they'll say, ew, why you speak English? Don't you love your own language? Like, do you hate using bahasa Indonesia? They'd be like, oh, I know. You must be so desperate for attention, right? And yada yada yada. You just can't shut them up. There will be people who are unhappy with whatever we're doing, and just because we're bad doing it, they will be posting bad comments and hating us for whatever we do. You can't really do anything about those people because it's their right to speak their opinion, right? You just have to understand that someone must hate something. I do, you do, whatever that is. Like, for example, it's like, I hate eating tomato. Like, tomato has nothing to do, like, tomato did nothing wrong to me, but I just hate it. I hate tomato. Even kittens, like kittens or cats, puppies videos on YouTube get dislikes. Imagine that. I started practicing English at the age of 8. 8? Yeah, 8. So my mom took me to an English course, and I remember that I have great experience for a year there. But I haven't really feel like I'm learning something until I'm like 12 or something. At the age 12, I started to realize that the English course I took 4 years ago is actually very influential to my ability of speaking English, right? And I was hanging out with the really mean, like, teenagers. You know, teenagers can be really mean, and they can really tell bad things in your face, but never has that ever happened to me, because people understand that I'm making an effort, and somehow they admire me for that. I'm not bragging, but it's actually happened. Like, they told me that they want to be as confident as me when I speak in English. And it literally boosts my confidence even more, you know, at that time. So thank you to those who said that. I appreciate your compliments. So the only exception here is social media, right? Like, if you're speaking English and you're an active user of social media, you just have to be ready to get those hate comments. And even you're perfect in English, even if you're 120 out of 120 on TOEFL, and you post a video how you get that score, you would still, like, well, if it goes viral, you will still get comments from people. It's impossible. Your English is not that good, you know. Like, there would always be people on social media hating you, but in real life, there's like this tiny chance it's gonna happen, but it's not gonna happen, guys, trust me. People who, like, I talked to in English so far were really friendly and really supportive. So it's all in your heads, basically. And I think if you have this fear in English, like, people would laugh at you or something like that, you probably have it in other aspects of your life. So it's just another reason for you to sit down with yourself and think about, like, I don't have to be liked by everyone. But again, I'm a person who has this feeling all the time. I want to be liked by everyone. And it took me a while to understand and to realize that you can't control other people's emotion. You can control what they think of you. What you have to do is just focus on what you can do the best, and focus on your goals and start and achieve them. You will realize that you know, the majority of people won't laugh at you, and if they will, it is their problem. It's not your problem at all. You're doing your best, you're practicing your English, you're putting an effort into being understood by people who don't even speak your language and don't even make an effort to learn your language. Okay, psychology class is over. let's move up to some practical advice regarding other things that you can do. So there is another fear, I know. What if the conversation gets too complicated and I won't be able to support it, right? Well, I also get this fear. I can relate to this really. Like, for example, when people start asking me about my study, especially like, those relatives from your dad sides, your mom sides, whatever that is, they ask about how's your study and this and that. So it's I understand that I will start a conversation. I will talk about my major, what I've learned, and so on and so forth. But if they start digging deeper, I would be like, oh my God, this is too complicated. I can't explain it. Because basically when we talk about English, we have 1,000 words, right? That make up 86 of the conversation. And what you really need to know, if you know those 1,000 words, if you go into specific conversation, you can always ask for definitions of like specific words. So I was like, oh, and what is this in English? Like, for example, if I trying to explain something to someone and I suddenly forget the words, I will be like, oh, what is this in English? Or if that person that I'm talking to can't understand Indonesian, then I will just search it on Google and show them this word. And once I learned like 5 or 7 words that I needed, the conversation became really easy, because you don't need to know like the whole idea of informatics engineering vocabulary to support an advanced conversation. All you need is those 1,000 words. And also, if you're like, oh, I don't know how many words I know right now, this doesn't actually matter. If you understand this video, that means you know enough words to support a conversation. So start practicing. And if you forget a word, if you don't know the term, if you forget a word, and you can just Google it on your phone and show to your party, this is the word, and you will be totally fine. I do it too, and that's how I learn new words easily. Another question is that, what if I feel shy? What if I stop and I freeze? Okay, this can happen as well if you're too nervous about the conversation. The trick that helps me a lot is to pretend that you're someone else. Because again, stopping and freezing has something to do with what's going on with you internally. Like maybe you're again thinking that people are gonna laugh at you, and just you overthink. There's just so many thoughts in your head that you can just process them. So imagine that you're a different person. Just imagine, right? If you're speaking like to a native speaker, you're probably in a new country. Nobody knows you, and once this conversation is over, you will part ways with this person you're speaking to, right? So try to pretend like you're your favorite movie character. Or if you're in America, just pretend that you're American. Just pretend that you're this like famous YouTuber that you really like. Just pretend. Just try it. If you say, oh, I don't know how to pretend to be someone else, just for this conversation, just let your fears go, and it helps you become more confident when you speak. Another question is, what if I offend someone? That's another fear that, and one thing I wanted to remember here is that when we talk to a person, people pay attention to our body language, to our facial expression, to our emotions. And even if you're saying something incorrectly in English, they would understand that you really didn't mean it, right? Even if you accidentally offend someone, it's okay to say, oh, I didn't mean that. Sorry, was that offensive? Because my English is not good enough. It's okay. But if you're smiling, if you're open, then people will understand 100% that you didn't mean to offend them. That it was like, oh my God, I'm sorry that it's something that we're used to in our culture, or mixed up the word. People would understand, so don't worry about it. Now let's wrap up this video with a couple of tips. If you have an important English conversation coming up, the worst mistake that you can do is actually overthink. It makes sense to prepare. It makes sense to go through questions that were like asked before in this kind of environment. Like, you go through questions that people are normally asked, etc., etc. But I would say take your time to prepare for 2 hours. But don't take too long, because when it takes too long, when it takes days to prepare, you over prepared, and instead of relaxing before it. It's important to know what you're talking about, to tell your story, but don't overthink. Like, they would probably ask basic questions, or if they ask some complicated questions, it is almost impossible to predict what they're going to ask. So learn some basic things, but then let yourself relax. Watch something in English. Just put yourself into the environment before the conversation or before the test, so that your brain switches from your language into English. It will be a lot easier. The next tip is be nervous and do it anyways. Michael Jordan once said, being nervous isn't bad. It just means something important is happening. So my tip is, don't be afraid of your emotions. Don't suppress them. Tell yourself, okay, I'm nervous about this conversation I'm gonna have in English. It is fine. I understand that I'm nervous because it is important, because it is an important conversation. I understand that my English is maybe not good enough and I haven't practiced a lot, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna use this conversation as a practice, and after the conversation, I'm gonna sit down and think what was good and what was bad. Think that did I do everything I could, and if not, just have some tips for myself, for yourself, for us, for the next conversation. Just remind myself that I make those mistakes, and it is okay. It's good that I know about them, and I'm gonna be better. Do it. Keep doing it until it feels normal. Just keep having those conversations in English. Keep being shy. Keep being nervous. At some stage, you're gonna be tired of it. When you're tired of it, you get used to it, right? And when you're used to it, you don't feel nervous at all. So keep doing it. Just don't stop. Also, adopt this growth mindset. Something we've already talked about, like, I am bad at speaking English. Like, my grammar's not good enough yet, but I'm using this as a way to practice. And I'm using this exact conversation as my way to improve, to learn, and to laugh at myself. Life is simple. We overcomplicate so many things. We tend to think that this meeting is game changer when it's actually not. You can always do another meeting. There's so many people in the world. There's so many opportunities. And if you don't get any results from the upcoming conversation, doesn't matter. You can do a lot more conversation. The most important thing is that you have yourself, you have your time, you have your brain that helps you speak English. Like, don't create problems for yourself. Enjoy life. We only have one life, and I want you to go ahead and enjoy it and look at everything from a positive perspective, especially if it's something smaller, like a conversation with a native speaker. Come on, it's gonna be fine. Life is easy. Smile. Don't forget to smile. Tell yourself that if not today, you're gonna make it tomorrow. If not tomorrow, you're gonna make it in a week, right? It's gonna be fine. You'll get there. We will get there together. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you have friends who are struggling with speaking English or any other language, please share this video with them, and I'll see you very soon in my next videos. Bye!